Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today. Thanks for making the time to attend and check out what we're doing over here at Fulcrum. My name is Coleman McCormick. I'm the VP of Product at Fulcrum, and today I'm joined by Andy Stewart from our solutions team. I'll start off with some higher level background of the company, the product, and a little bit about our approach to field work and our integrations with the Esri platform. And then Andy's going to dive into a couple of demos to show us around how Fulcrum works. Before I get started, let's take a look at the agenda for the presentation. So to kick us off, I'm going to go through a quick overview of Fulcrum and our backstory. I'll talk a little bit about our approach to field tech and what makes the Fulcrum platform unique. Then we'll go deeper on our integrations with the Esri ecosystem, and then Andy is going to give us a live demo of Fulcrum and what it can do. So let's get started. First off, for anyone that's new to Fulcrum, we're a geospatial-centric field inspection and process platform. We've got a low-code app builder that lets you build out everything for your field inspection process. Our goal is to help you bridge the gaps between field and office with a flexible platform that makes it easy to adapt as needs change and evolve. We help users get complete and accurate field data and make sure that teams are highly productive while collecting it. So that means it'll take less time than with paper or other solutions. And really, we're all about capturing and sharing all the data that you need in the formats and places that it's best consumed. Next slide. Andy. That's a little bit about Fulcrum, and I wanted to talk some more about who we are and how we got here. At Fulcrum, we know fieldwork because it's really built into the origin of the product. For over a decade before launching Fulcrum, we were a data and consulting business and ran our own field data collection projects ourselves for our own customers. And that DNA and firsthand experience doing data collection was baked into the product from the start. We originally built Fulcrum, while we originally built it to solve our own problems, we knew we could bring that expertise to a product for others as well. And since 2011, we've grown the platform to over 2,500 customers now worldwide, with an assortment of different verticals like utilities, water and sewer, AEC, and more. And now we're over 100 employees today. Next slide. So with these next few slides, we're going to take a look at what makes Fulcrum unique. Andy, you might have to page it forward here. Just keep going until we show all those. Yeah, there you go. So as mobile apps have spread into the field, it's common to see business processes get fragmented across multiple systems. So you might have a field service management requirements living in one platform, ERP in another, with GIS and asset management spread even further. And managing these multiple workflows between apps creates silos and confusion between teams. Oftentimes, the mobile tools in this kind of environment begin as like bolt-on extensions to pre-existing platforms rather than being built from the ground up as mobile first. So these systems aren't really built from the ground up with the field in mind. Next slide. And then from there, you might see these products get consolidated, the workflows get consolidated into custom apps that often are built internally by companies, which might reduce the switching costs between apps and between these silos and reduce some of the confusion. But now that means that the business is having to invest in and maintain their own software, which causes you to lose focus on the work itself. Custom software might be tailored specifically to your needs, but now that puts you in the business of maintaining software, basically becoming a software company, which is an expensive, complex, and overwhelming challenge when you're already resource constrained. So next slide. This is where Fulcrum comes in. We refer to Fulcrum as a platform as a service built for the field. We take a loosely coupled approach to integrating data from the back office and data from the field together. So through a single platform, you can fold in data from different sources during your inspection projects. Teams that are directly involved in field work can manage their own processes, and data makes its way to the right destination all through a single unified view. On the field side, we can pull data from tools like drones, cameras, and GPS devices. And similarly, we can push or pull data from the office. So whatever's relevant for asset inventory can get sent back to your Maximo environment, or GIS data can be pushed back to ArcGIS, for example. But for today's session, we're going to look more closely at the Esri component of this different kind of integrations that we support. So next slide. So a little bit about our relationship with Esri and what we've been doing so far. We're excited now to be a silver partner with Esri. Over the last couple of years, we've invested heavily in a variety of integrated features that are powered by the Esri ecosystem. This partnership is allowing us to bring mapping power tools to tens of thousands of our end users. We're building all of our mapping functionality now on Esri's technology, including now supporting bidirectional editing between Fulcrum and ArcGIS feature services, as well as some other integrations that we'll dig into further in the presentation. Even before this partnership, though, I mean, we've had mutual customers since the early days of Fulcrum, going way back. But everything we're doing now, working closer together, benefits our mutual customers downstream. So next slide, Andy. So now let's look at what makes Fulcrum more productive than other tools. We'll start with a typical customer profile, in this case, a water utility inspecting stormwater infrastructure. The use case sounds pretty simple, but there's a lot that they need to know and a lot that needs to happen along the way. First, they'll download asset data from the GIS to the laptop or tablet, sometimes even printing out physical maps. They'll take that batch of assets out in the field and start visiting them in order. They'll need to look up info on that asset, then do the inspection. And as part of the inspection, they might take photos, which could even involve uploading files to Dropbox or OneDrive, or manually shipping SD cards around, and hopefully being able to kind of marry the photos up with the data later on. And then when that's all done, there's still a lot of checking and retyping and transcribing that still has to happen. So there's a lot of steps to get right. A lot of it is logistics around doing the inspection work itself. So we need to really simplify this down as much as possible. And we base this workflow on a lot of what our customers tell us about their workflows prior to using Fulcrum. But in a world with Fulcrum, they would drive to the asset, perform inspections, and go to the next one. They already have the GIS data. They already have the asset data from their asset management system preloaded. Photos and videos are automatically handled by the Fulcrum platform, and everything's done, and there's no additional work. So this means a lot more can get done in less time, making everybody a lot happier. Next slide. Now, if we look at the same general workflow, but assume from the start that we have Fulcrum, an intelligent platform like Fulcrum, we can layer in other steps that automate stages of the work along the way, with like data enrichment and other things that we couldn't do before. So new things become possible, like, it's just a few examples here, like fetching weather data based on the current time and location when an inspection is being performed, which can be included in reports and things downstream. Scanning barcodes to look up records in a database, recording native audio and video, detecting defects with images, which we'll see more of in a few minutes later in the presentation. And generally just having forms that adapt to situations. So if a certain set of conditions is met, then have their form be responsive to what the user is entering. And then things like automatic custom designed PDF reports that match your branding for reporting out to your customers. And when we bring field tech integrations and new things like AI, which is here on the bottom, we can bring this even further, automating some of these steps along the way, like identifying objects or filling form data. Next slide. So customers tell us that Fulcrum becomes their field system of record. Like, this is the phrase that I used earlier, focusing on everything that happens in the field rather than being the primary system like you would have, say, ArcGIS for GIS content or an EAM system for assets. Fulcrum makes best use of the field tech systems, which you see on the top, which to us means tools and resources that augment work in the field. And we integrate back office enterprise sources. So that's what you see along the bottom there. And we're serving this the workflow at each phase in the work. So prior to the work, we've got to assemble the data required to get the work done. So that might mean bringing together existing as-builts, maps for reference, team information that needs to be used to task out work. And then during the inspection process, we need the tablet. We may need the tablet to connect to a GPS unit for higher accuracy location data. We might want to dynamically pull in additional info from a web service, like I gave the example of the weather data, or it could be parcel data from an ArcGIS instance. We might be pulling data back from the office or pushing it to the office in real time to alert to critical conditions as they're discovered. And then after the work's finished, we can push the data to all the relevant systems, run reports, or support sharing with any stakeholders that need to be informed of the work after it's completed. So in addition to being the field system of record for doing inspections and field work, Fulcrum functions really as the connectivity layer between the field and the office. So the goal is to really, for us, is to bring together the right data at the right time where it needs to be. I think there's one more slide, Andy. Yeah, so go to the next one. Yeah, here we go. So before I give it over to Andy to give us a demo of some of what we're talking about, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the Esri ecosystem and because there's more than a simple integration built within this ecosystem. But at the foundation, Fulcrum is now built on the ArcGIS Maps SDK to power the mapping technology throughout the whole product. That provides us a number of capabilities we're continuing to expand on, like signing in as a named user account in your ArcGIS environment, ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise environment to access private content, support for viewing and querying feature services from that environment, downloading content from feature services that you can use offline, so like offline map layers, and even publishing Fulcrum data as its own feature service the other direction, so you can incorporate real-time Fulcrum data back into your ArcGIS map projects. So now I wanted to turn it over to Andy to give us a couple of demos here that will hopefully for everybody highlight a lot of these things that I'm talking about here. So take it away, Andy.
Thanks, Coleman. Yeah, so everyone, I really appreciate you guys joining us today for the demonstrations. So in today's demonstrations, we're going to highlight key capabilities and concepts with Fulcrum through the different use cases that you're currently seeing on your screen. So with Fulcrum today, we can leverage offline capabilities for field staff to ensure data integrity and accuracy. And then meanwhile, back office managers and project owners can work in tandem with their field technicians to oversee the data that's collected. That ensures clarity and organization for better data management. So the first demonstration we're going to focus on is wetland determination. It's a streamlined digitization process for field teams. And then we're also going to transfer over to the next demo 2, and that's going to be around pole inspections, specifically for data collection with GIS and asset management. All right, cool. So the first demonstration really focused on wetlands. And the reason why I want to focus on wetlands is because they're an integral part of the ecosystem today. They serve as a really key linkage to the water cycle. We see about 5.5% of land cover in the 48 contiguous states is made up of wetlands, and that's according to the EPA. And 95% of those wetlands are freshwater. And according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, about 50 million acres of coastal land is commercially and residentially developed upon. And the reason why we really want to focus on helping and enabling environmental services and consultancies is because Fulcrum's work around the clock with providing a form specifically around wetland determination for the purpose of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, and providing a form that actually can be generated from Fulcrum data to provide to the United States Army Corps of Engineers to maintain compliance and also to mitigate issues around commercial and residential development for those 50 million acres of coastal land. Cool, so we'll go ahead and get started with the first demonstration. Jumping over to my apps right here, we're gonna see, okay, cool. So the first demonstration we're gonna focus on is wetland determination. So right here at the very top, you can see the application that's currently within my main screen of Wetland Fulcrum Web. We can go ahead and click on that application. And as soon as we click on the application, we'll be met with the form app builder. Over on the left side, you'll see the fields. The fields are really applicable to the form builder as it provides a process for data collection. We can see here that we've got signature fields, photo fields, videos, audio, file attachments. Every single one of these fields that we can currently see on the left side can easily be dragged and dropped into the form builder here on the center of the screen. And with the ability to actually drag and drop the actual field into the form builder, it allows us to create a label for the field name, set a requirement field, hidden, read only, default to previous, as well as we can set up invalidation rules and visibility rules as well to ensure that the logic and flow of the form is done completely. So within the matter of seconds, we can set up our form here within Fulcrum Web App Builder and then save the application. And immediately we can have that form already ready to go for anybody that's in the field on their device. And that simple process of being able to delete fields or edit and change names of the fields can also be met with the save app right here, this button. And then those instantaneous changes can happen and occur on the device once we sync. Cool. So I'm going to jump over to the mobile demonstration, and we're going to see how that looks in the fields with the wetland determination form. So with the ability to click on our apps right here on the main screen, we're met with a search bar, and we can go ahead and search for the application relevant to today's demo. So we're looking for that wetland determination data form. We'll go ahead and click on it. And as soon as we click on it, we'll be met with a map. And that map provides us the GPS location, as well as the other wetlands that have been predetermined within the geographic area. All the maps that you're currently seeing are built on Esri's SDK, so it allows us to have the GPS throwing itself on the map, as well as we can have polygons, lines, and points also presented within the map's display. And that allows us to create those lines, points, and polygons as well. And we'll see a demonstration of that in a second. In the bottom left-hand corner in the quick access bar, you'll notice a list button. And the reason why the list button is really important is, say if you're a user that just needs to see a table view of all the data, you can easily do that with the list view. And then you can see the title of the record, you can see the status of the record, you can even see the date that the record was completed or had been updated upon. With that being said, we can also see the filter button in the bottom right-hand corner, bottom left-hand corner. We can go ahead and click on that, and then we can actually filter our data. And then we can see the filter update the data within the list view, as well as if we come to the map view, we can only see that particular record that was completed for wetland determination in the maps view. Great, so with the ability to have filters, that really allows us to access data a lot more quickly. We can also utilize the search button right next to the filter button, and that allows us to search for specific records in the maps display, and then really just draw ourselves into it to be able to see high-level details about it. And then what's really significant about Fulcrum is being able to create a new record. So you'll see that button right there in the bottom right-hand corner. If we go ahead and click on that, we can already see that there's been previous default responses from the previously submitted record already pre-filled within the form itself. So that really makes it a lot more easy for field users such as a biologist or ecologist filling out data to really streamline their process of filling out the data specifically around the wetland. And here you can see real quick, I'm just entering high-level information about the wetland that I'm going to do determination for. And then I can have a couple of yes, no responses as well that are really necessary for me to fill out acting as a biologist or ecologist that's really visualizing the actual wetland in the field and then filling out the data about it. We can also see that we've got photos, videos, file attachments. With Fulcrum today, you can store as many videos, files, file attachments, videos, and photos on your device for that record. And then here you can see me actually taking a photo of the actual wetland. It's not the wetland, but it's a wall for this particular example. And then you can see the timestamp in the bottom left-hand corner. And that's really significant as it provides you a high level of accuracy and detail that the photo was taken at that specific date and time. And then we can go ahead and click done. And now in the bottom right-hand corner, well, I'm going to show the locate button. We're going to go ahead and click on the locate button. And the reason why I want to show this is that it allows you to actually now create lines, points, and polygons in Fulcrum. So we can use our crosshairs in the maps display. We can pinch in on a specific location. Say for this example, we're over here by this reservoir. Now we can actually drop the points, the vertices on the map to digitize the wetland itself, to give a high level of accuracy to project managers and owners in the back office, to have a detailed information about where this wetland was that was being determined upon. We also have the ability to draw points and lines, currently just doing polygons for this example. And then in the top right-hand corner, you'll note that there's an REC button. That's a record tracking button for GPS. Every 3 meters, you can have a point drop on the map to give a high level of detail about the perimeter that somebody's walking around the particular wetland or another point of interest. Now that I went ahead and I created the polygon, I can go ahead and click done in the top right-hand corner. And now we can see that polygon that was created, as well as we can see the shape area and the shape length for that particular polygon as well. All that metadata is going to be stored on the record. And now by clicking on back, that record is now going to be saved to the record by clicking save. Before I can click save, there's a little error message that tells me that I need to actually go back and edit the overview remarks. We can see a red asterisk, and that's because that field is a required field. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter some high level context about that field, click done, and now click save. As soon as I'm saving the record, you can see it's synchronizing the record to the web. And now we can come over here to web, click on view records, and we'll see that newly created record within the maps display. So within the matter of seconds, any field user that's collecting data in the field from their mobile device can have that data synchronized to the web so that project managers and owners can see that wetland that was determined in the field. And then also with Fulcrum today, we have the ability to generate PDF reports. So for this example, we've got this wetland determination data form from the United States Army Corps of Engineers. To maintain compliance with the wetland, we need to ensure that we have this data filled out for this form. So with Fulcrum, we can come over here to another application that's a wetland determination app, and we can click on this hamburger style here within the record list view, and then click print. And now we can print out the PDF report, have all the data from Fulcrum that was already created for that record, print into the report. And this functionality of being able to generate PDF reports can also be done in bulk as well with Fulcrum. And here we can actually see the high level of details filled out here within this section, as well as some yes, no responses of check marks, X's. And then we can come down here and see that certain species were filled out based on that Fulcrum record that was already pre-generated. Awesome. So what we just visualized was the ability to do a wetland determination with Fulcrum. Specifically, we created a form in our app builder that quickly was easily be able to be deployed for the field user on their mobile application. And then in the mobile application, we saw how a field user was able to actually collect the data, specifically creating lines, points, and polygons about the wetland. And then we were able to save and sync that record simultaneously and see that data visualized within the record list view here within Fulcrum Web. And then finally, we're able to generate a PDF report specifically around the United States Army Corps of Engineers wetland determination data form for the data that was collected in the field from Fulcrum. Great. So I'm going to jump over to the next demonstration, and that next demonstration is going to be around utility pole inspections. So this particular demonstration is really focused on the data itself within the record list view right now. We can see here on the left side, we have projects, and each one of these records has been assigned to a project, allowing us to have only certain members have access to it on their device for completing a pole inspection. If we click on a specific project, we can see that that project filters out the data to visualize who's assigned to doing what while in the field. We can see here that this is an incomplete status record for this particular pole. And what that means is that whenever someone's in the field and they see that status or that color in the map, they know that they have to actually go through the process of completing that pole inspection. So with the ability to have that data already preset for projects and only have specific members see it, I'm going to jump over to the mobile demonstration, and we're going to see how they're actually able to go ahead and do a pole inspection, completing a pole inspection within Fulcrum. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump over here. And in favorites, you'll see that I can click on favorites here within Fulcrum Mobile. And that quickly allows me to identify the apps that I have stored that I want to actually quickly reference for field data collection. So now jumping over here to the utility pole inspection, I'm going to utilize the functionality that we have right below the layers button to search for San Diego. And this is actually going to take me to the right location using my map locator here. So now we're here within San Diego. What we can see here within the maps display is the statuses for those particular polls. Yellow represent incomplete, green represent pass, and then red would represent fail. We can see that there's one particular poll that still needs to have its inspection done. What I can do is I can actually click on that particular poll. But before I do that, say if I'm in the field and I really want to see the high level detail of data about my poll from my ArcGIS feature service layer, what I can do is in the top right hand corner, click on my layers button. And then this will open up a new pane on my map screen. And that allows me to actually go to the very bottom and sign into my ArcGIS Align or ArcGIS Enterprise account. So I'm just going to sign out real quick, scroll back down, connect to ArcGIS, and I'm going to utilize multi-factor authentication to sign back into my ArcGIS Online account so I can access my private feature service layers. And then here within the search bar, I'm going to search for utility polls, utilities example, utility polls. If I turn on that layer, we'll see the poll show up, and that represents the particular features from that feature service. Each one of these, we can click on it, and then we can actually gather high level details about it as well. So for example, by clicking on the one that was right underneath the incomplete one, I could see that that currently includes no transformer, its poll class, its poll number, as well as I can see its age, as well as its poll type at the very bottom. And that can be really useful for anybody doing field data collection or inspections on polls because they're able to actually visualize underlying feature service data about the polls that they're doing that inspection for. Great, so coming back here to my search, I'm going to turn off that layer. Great, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on the incomplete record here within the maps display. And then I'm just going to act like if I'm a foreman in the field, filling out the high level of details about this particular poll for inspection. So here I'm giving it a signature, just notifying my inspector of that I've completed this particular record. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the other fields as well about the actual poll. So here are some yes, no options. By clicking yes, that visibility rule of issues appears on my screen. So I can go ahead and click on the multiple choice for issues. And go ahead and click done. I can also take photos, videos, and audio, which are really helpful for any field data collection users that need to actually provide more high level context about what they're seeing for that poll. Maybe it could be a poll number that you're taking a picture of, or it could be the actual transformer on the poll. In the top right hand corner, I'm going to go ahead and click save. And now as soon as I save that record, we're going to see it updating. And then one of the other things that I need to do is go back into that particular poll inspection and set the status to now pass. As soon as I click save, it'll update the color symbology in the maps display. And then also here within Fulcrum Web, we'll see that that record is now changed to pass as well. Great, so within the matter of seconds, all that data is now synchronized back to the Fulcrum Web. So this allows any project manager or owner to quickly have access to this data. Say if they wanted to add this data to an ArcGIS web map, what they can do is they can go ahead and click on Save Filter. And then here we can type in poll inspections, click yes. And then we're met with the ability to share that particular data as a feature service to our ArcGIS web map. So coming over here to my ArcGIS web map, I can go ahead and click add layer from URL. And then very quickly, I can have this data accessible within ArcGIS Online, acting as like my single source location for this data. Great. And now we can actually see that data visualized within the maps display, as well as we can turn on and off that layer if we wanted to. Awesome, so just to recap, within this demonstration, we were able to see a utility poll inspection form that was being able to be utilized with projects, specifically assigning specific members to do an inspection on those polls. We were able to see and visualize an ArcGIS feature service layer on our mobile device and get high level of information about the poll that we were clicking on. And then we were able to actually go through and complete an inspection for a poll. And that allowed us to then come back to Fulcrum record list view, save a filter view, and then add that to our ArcGIS web map to be able to visualize and store that data for future reference. I hope you found these demonstrations helpful, and I'm going to go ahead and now change it back over to you, Coleman.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, so in those use cases Andy walked us through, I mean, he packed in a lot of different aspects of Fulcrum and things that it can do and how it can adapt to different dynamic team problems and workflows that an organization might face. And you can see from the diversity of use cases, from wetland management to pole inspections, you can build out a workflow in Fulcrum that is tailored specifically to what you need. So one last section of the presentation here that I wanted to take a look at before we move into some time we'll have at the end for questions is how we're layering in intelligence, AI, and prediction into various steps in the workflow in Fulcrum. Go to the next slide, Andy.
Okay.
So here, this slide just gives you a high-level overview of what our AI strategy is here at Fulcrum. We've already started to see traction in some of what we're doing with customers bringing their own proprietary models trained on their own data that they can use, that they can load into Fulcrum and use on device and offline. And that's really something you should take away here, is that our focus is not exclusively to be used offline, but we really want to be able to provide this kind of capability and maintain Fulcrum's differentiation in being able to be used in disconnected environments. So working so far with customers on a lot of this stuff, we've uncovered many different use cases. This is a selection of ones that we've talked about here in the middle of the slide with some of our customers. And there's a role for AI to automate different parts of all of these different use cases within Fulcrum, both kind of on the web, like interactive, or in the app interactively, and automatically through data processing after the fact. We're currently exploring computer vision techniques and how we can apply them, like object detection, text extraction, and image analysis, since photos are already such an essential part of customer data collection work. It's only natural to try to figure out how to do more with that, how to automate that process. So there's we have a couple of examples here and some slides that we can show you to give you a sense of what we're working on right now. So the first one here shows a use case for object detection. And we're working right now with some utility customers on building models to classify pole equipment for pole inventory, equipment inventory. And what that means is both like taking a photo, as you can see in this example, taking a photo of the pole with the equipment on the pole and having the model trained to detect and log the different assets present on that pole, and then kind of layering into this as we get further into it, being able to actually do like a cursory inspection on that based on any observed issues with those assets. But this is a working example of a model that's trained for this very specific use case and then loaded into Fulcrum and runs offline. So you can take a photo and have it do this and auto-populate your form without it ever hitting back to an external service, which is huge for customers that are working in rural areas to be able to still make use of this stuff. Go to the next example here. So text extraction is another one that is very promising that we're having success with so far. The text extraction models that we've put together allow you to take a photo of, like in this example, take a photo of a label on a piece of equipment and have it automatically find and extract and populate the data into a form. And this case right here is very minimally trained on what to do. It's interpreting the image and finding values, like if you look closely, you could see it inserting the model number, the spec code. It's detecting those things on its own. So this is a big deal because it puts inspectors in the position of simply validating data rather than having to tediously retype everything that's already there. They can just take a photo and do it. And because it's auto-populating pre-existing like text or number fields, if it misses one, you can still go back in and correct it or fill it in if it doesn't find it. So it's a way to speed people up, but it's still resilient to you know, a label that's damaged or partially peeled off or something like that. So let's go to the next one. And in this last example, this is something that's a little different because it's not working with images, but we're working on a narration-based autofilling capability for basically general purpose use on filling in inspection forms. So the way this works, it's hard to visualize in a screenshot, but you record, you just basically speak into your phone the observations that you're seeing that have a place to go on your form, and it automatically parses apart that audio, basically like a speech to text kind of concept. It takes the audio and extracts out of there the structured data. So it goes from unstructured, just voice command or voice narration into structured data in one step. So what this example shows is you speaking something like, I'm inspecting a pole, it's made of wood, its condition is good, and it interprets that language and extracts it into structured data. It's what we're seeing so far is pretty amazing in terms of what it can do for just time savings, and it's a game changer to speed up the data entry process, as we've seen so far with the customers that are looking at this. So go to the next slide. We're like to look back at this graphic that we showed earlier. When we look at back again at the full data lifecycle, but we incorporate what's possible with AI and computer vision and large language models, we can see how that impacts not just individual steps. There's almost every step in the workflow has some way for some way for AI to make a difference in the workflow, but we're very focused on taking an approach that's very pragmatic and practical. If this doesn't have, if it doesn't have an immediate kind of clear usability and need in the field, that's not what we're interested in. We're trying to really help people that are out there doing work in the field, and if it can't help them, then we're not interested in it. Okay, I think that's the last slide, or maybe we have one more to wrap us up here. So as you can see from what we've talked about today, customers need standardization. They need to be able to have an easy to use customized approach. And Fulcrum also allows you to integrate with various systems throughout the field inspection process, from the field tech systems that we talked about, as well as the kind of back office differentiated tools that customers use, and different customers are using different ones, right? So we're trying to build the kind of rails to connect the field with the office. I think we've just got the last slide with our contact info here. So thanks for taking the time to come by and see what we're doing. If you're interested in seeing how we can help your field teams, check out our website here. If you have any follow-up questions for myself or Andy directly, here's our email addresses as well. If you'd like to learn more about some of what we showed there at the end with the AI stuff that we're doing, we have another webinar coming up. The date is here. There's a QR code here that will take you to that page directly to register on September 12th, where we're going to be going into that topic specifically in greater depth. This presentation was broader than that, but we wanted to include some about what we're doing with that here. So if there are any questions now, there's a questions panel in the webinar software that you should be able to type in questions. I see some some questions in here that we can start taking some of those now. Here's one. Andy, in the first demo that you did, is there an easy way to attach associated photos with the delineation form?
Oh, yes, definitely there is. We can create a new field within the form builder, save those changes, and then we could have that readily available for the device on the mobile device. And so then, yes, you'd be able to attach it from the device, or you can then, if you have it already, the photo stored on your computer as well, you can attach the photo there as well into that field as well.
Excellent. I see one question I can take. Are we required to have an Esri subscription to utilize the maps? The answer is if you're talking about the maps, the just map that you can see in Fulcrum when you're using it, that's part of the default product. That's something that's built into Fulcrum to use maps. The requirement for an Esri subscription or an ArcGIS Online subscription is if you're bringing data in from your ArcGIS environment into Fulcrum, you would want that in your own ArcGIS Online account. But the basic mapping functionality is a native feature of Fulcrum.
Right.
Andy, do you see the questions too? You can take some.
Yeah. So I think one of the questions by Nathan around, is there a downloadable template of the United States Army Corps of Engineers data form available? And there absolutely is. If you go to the Fulcrum app gallery, you can actually Google search this Fulcrum app gallery, and you'll be able to then type in the keyword wetland determination. Then you can add that Fulcrum form that I was showing today to your Fulcrum account. Now, let me see, is there? I'm looking. Is there any options for a manager? Oh, perfect. And I could take the other ones. So is there any option to assign tasks from the manager to the field workers? Yes, so we do have a out-of-the-box solution around tasks and issues. You have the ability to assign specific tasks, link the records to that task, and then have someone in the field go into that record and then complete it essentially. And then they set the task to complete. And then that would allow the manager in Fulcrum tasks and then Fulcrum also record list view, see those updates and changes from the field worker. So that's definitely an option that we can handle and we can do today out of the box. Okay.
I see one about how does the narration feature differ from voice to text keyboard function? That's a good question. The voice to text native feature that you'd see in iOS or Android really is just taking a single string and inserting it into the form, like a single piece of text, which is that's useful on its own. But what the AI-based feature does is it lets you record an extended narration. So you could speak into your phone for 3 minutes as you're walking around a job site or something like that, making observations, and do it in any order that you want, and it will pull out the relevant pieces of data into the right place in the form on its own. So it's more advanced than going field by field with the speech to text.
I've got another question from Nathan. How do I set up the geometry collection in the mapper? So what you would be able to do is in the Fulcrum app builder, there's going to be some settings on the right side. Now I touched on the fields on the left side and how to drag and drop those fields into the form builder. What you'll see is that there's additional settings on the right side. You can click on advanced and then select the advanced geometry to turn on and save to that application. So once you click save and you've already marked that particular option before you save, then once you save, you'll see that process of being able to create the record in a polygon or a line feature as well. So give that a test and let me know how it goes. Definitely would love to hear back from you.
I see a question about drone maps. Can one add a drone map as a layer on top of the default base map for better resolution before adding other vector layers? The answer to that briefly is yes. If you have drone imagery as a supported format in ArcGIS Online, you would need a place for that to be hosted. So you could, if you have it loaded into ArcGIS Online, you can pull it in as a layer in Fulcrum. And there's a number of different formats. There's WMS that's supported in Fulcrum, as well as TMS format, like a tile map service format that you can bring in. And then you can order the layers like you can in a GIS and have them draw on top of each other. Hopefully that answers the question. I see another one. Would staff need a separate device to use the custom AI models for edge inference? No, not what we're working on so far. Everything that's the offline models that we've put together for the computer vision stuff, as an example, the model is loaded into your Fulcrum environment and synced down to the user's device, and then the inferencing runs on their individual phone. That's not to say there wouldn't be other, future use cases where we build it in a different way, but that's what we are working toward right now. We want to, where possible, we want to make it usable with no additional hardware, no additional connectivity, and can run right on the user's device.
Great. Thanks, Coleman. I've got another question here. Can external GNSS receivers be connected to an iOS for sub-meter accuracy? And the answer to that question is yes. We currently see quite a few organizations utilizing Trimble, Bad Elf. We've got definitely a plethora amount of lists that you can use for when you're comparing Bluetooth GPS devices that you need to connect for those GNSS receivers to get sub-meter accuracy. And on average, though, our Fulcrum application with the Esri SDK is getting about 3 to 5 meters of accuracy with that GPS outdoors. But if you needed to get a sub-meter, then that's where that GNSS receiver would come into play. And it really does help if you're doing really site inspections and you really want to get that high detailed context. And so whenever you utilize that GNSS receiver, we're basically fetching that data and we're pulling it into the Fulcrum point so that you can see that it's a 0.001 meters of accuracy for that particular point that you're dropping on the map.
I see one simple kind of admin question. Someone asked, will this presentation be available after the webinar? The answer is yes. I think you'll receive an email follow-up from this because since you registered, that should have a link to play it back or share it with others. Any other final questions anyone has? So I see a question, is there a view option for a supervisor to track inspectors? Not right now. There's no way to view like a real-time view of where your inspectors are. But we have customers that sort of, in the Fulcrum web application that with what Andy was demoing earlier, you can see the most recent inspections that someone has done, and if you're using it in a kind of, if they're doing work in real time and syncing it up, you can see where they were very recently, but not in real time now. You see any other questions we haven't answered, Andy? Don't.
No, I think we answered pretty much all of them from what I can see.
All righty. Well, thank you again, everyone, for attending today. And you should get an email follow-up that has a link back to this presentation again if you want to check out our next webinar where we're going to go deeper on AI. Check out that link that's behind this QR code. and register. And yeah, with that, thanks for coming, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone.